My guest today is award-winning actor Michael Emery, who has over 70 professional acting credits. Now, for nearly 20 years, Michael has worked steadily in film and television projects, including appearances on Monk, Shameless, Body of Proof opposite of Dana Delany, and Blue Bloods portraying a thief who terrorizes a Latino family. He has also appeared in several popular soap operas as Guiding Light in Days of Our Lives, One Life to Live, and As the World Turns as Andy. Well, he also showed his acting range in the award-winning film Randy's Canvas in the role of Henry, the older brother of Randy, a young autistic artist. Now, Michael co-starred with acting great William Sadler in the feature film The Historian, followed by a guest role on the hit television series Shameless, where he played the role of Bruce and the boyfriend of Harry Hamlin's character, Ned. Next, he was cast in a reoccurring role on season 3 of Amazon series Sneaky Pete, which is a great series if you haven't seen it yet. Actually, one of my favorites. Most recently, Michael played the role of Jason Johnson in the Lionsgate horror film Room 9, written and directed by Thomas Walton, and his next appearance as Travis in the leading role with actor Kevin Spacey in the psychological thriller film Peter 5-8. And Michael also guest starred on the hit ABC Primetime series Station 19, where he played the role of Greg, and also starred in the top-rated CBS series The Equalizer as the villain Xavier Manis. Well, Michael also played lead character in the new thriller Birder as Christian Brooks. And ladies and gentlemen, there's so much more. So let's welcome actor of television and the silver screen, Michael Emery, to the show. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, Ward, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, you have such a very long acting resume. What inspired your acting bug?
Oh man, I guess growing up, I was always an athlete, and dedication and hard work was always instilled in me as a young guy. And playing football in high school and in college, I really focused on athletics. And then one day, I was at school and in college, and I just kind of wanted to try acting. I don't know what it was. I didn't get a bug or anything like that. I just always was a fan of Jim Carrey, and I loved his work, and DiCaprio, of course. And I took some classes in Red Bank, New Jersey, around the area, and just completely fell in love with it. I met some really great coaches and teachers, and off and running. Yeah.
Well, you trained at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. What led you to choose them to learn acting?
I just saw how prestigious the school was. Anne Hathaway, Justin Robards, Michael Pitt, they all went there. And I was just enamored with the history of the school and the intense training. And they took, my year, they took in mostly European actors from the UK, from Germany. There were some South African actors. There were a lot of people from all over. So it was tough to get in. I had to audition about 3 times, and that was fun. So, but I finally got in, and yeah, it was like the best training I've ever gotten. Super intense. We would have class for 5-6 days a week, and then rehearsals on the last day. And yeah, it was tough, but man, did I learn a lot. And I used a lot of my training back then I apply it to what I do now.
Now, do you still go back, not necessarily to them, but do you still use an acting coach?
Yeah, Reno Venturi out of Connecticut. He's the best coach that I've had. It's funny. He and I just did a short film called Mighty Claw in Connecticut, and that's going to be coming out soon. He was the um, assistant director on the picture, and it's a really beautiful story. Gary Fiero wrote it and directed it, and yeah, it was great to have a coach on set. So I would defer to him after every take. I'd be like, "Is that real? What do you think? Is that good?" And he'd be like, "Yes, it's fine. Keep going." So it was good to have him on set, and he's such a legend and a great guy. And he's with the Actors Gym. He runs that studio over in Connecticut. So if anyone's in Connecticut and want a good coach, go to Reno Venturi. He's the best.
Well, how many auditions did you go through before you actually got your first role?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably close to 100, I'd say. About 75, 100. Yeah, it was a constant, but it was fun. I mean, it was like you go in there and you try your best and give your interpretation of what you think the part is, what the role is, and um, I mean, now I'm a little bit deeper into this, but I look at auditioning now as just a free chance to show my art and to show what I feel the character should be and is, where that character speaks from. So there was a point in time where I would go crazy, and if I didn't book something, I would be like, "Oh, come on! Like, what is it? What did I do wrong?" But it's really nothing you did wrong. It's just they were looking for something else, and having that mindset frees you up and makes you have fun with the work and not really worry about if I get the job or not. I really don't care if I get the job or not. That I just want to do good work, and it's a free opportunity for me to show my art.
That's almost like what Robert De Niro said about
Hmm.
auditions.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't go in there, you know, that you want to get the part. Go in there
Hmm.
thinking that you're going to get turned down for the part because then that frees
Yeah.
you up to go maybe outside the lines, go over the top of what they're actually looking for, but then you end
Hmm.
up being the one that stands out and actually gets the role."
Yeah. Plus, also, you're trying to get the part. That just creates more pressure on you, the actor, the artist. It's just unneeded pressure that you don't need because auditions are pressure as it is. I mean, I feel so. Having that is such a freeing way to look at things, and just going in with that clear mind space is just what should be done.
Well, for you, because you're so seasoned now between television and film, is the audition process different than trying to get a role on a television series or a guest starring spot versus getting a part in a film?
Yeah, I mean, recently, the last year or two, it's been nice. There's people that have been approaching me, casting producers, because I've been around for so damn long. So they're probably like, "Listen, here's the script. What do you think? Let's just bypass all the shenanigans and stuff like that." But I do read a lot still. But there are some really great opportunities that come along where a casting director reaches out to a team of a member of mine and sends me the script and gives me details and stuff like that, and it's a yay or nay on my part, and that's always nice. But yeah, there's still a bunch of reads that I do and self tapes nowadays.
Well, let me ask you this. So are you at the point in your career where you're not having to sit around and wait for an email from Actors Access or Casting Networks or Casting Frontiers or scan through everything to see what kind of parts are available? Are you at the point now to where they contact you?
Yeah, yeah, I get contacted a lot through my team if there's something that pops up. Yeah, I really don't do any proactive work as much as I used to on my own now. Because I have an amazing team that takes care of me and everything. But yeah, I mean, if there's some time on my own, I'm writing, or I have a whole YouTube playlist of monologues I do from plays and films and stuff like that to keep fresh, and or I'm training and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't sift through breakdowns as much as I used to, say about 4 or 5 years ago. So, um, but anybody coming up, that's a great idea. I mean, that's a really awesome idea because there might be something in there that your team misses or you be perfect for, and you catch it with your eye and you see it and you're like, all right, I could do this, and it could turn into something special.
Well, during the pandemic,
Hmm.
the audition process changed. And
Oh
of
yeah.
course, last year during the SAG strike, there were other things that were probably changed within the whole audition process. Um, what do you prefer the most? Do you mind doing self tapes or Zoom, or would you rather walk into a room with everybody staring at you to do an in person audition?
No, self tapes, 1,000%. Yeah. 1,000%. Yeah. Well, because it's like making your own short film. I mean, and you can really be in my own element, be in a space where things are calm, where I'm not having to drive in traffic, look at other people that look like me in the waiting room, and um, just lay down on tape what I feel is most grounded and real for me. And if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, then we'll try again. But yeah, I love meeting people, but I'd rather do a self tape for sure. Yeah, and Zoom is good too. I mean, I just did a Zoom with a wonderful director for another film, but it's good to meet people on Zoom and speak to them. But yeah, I prefer self tapes for sure.
It's funny when I ask that question to actors, the answer is always different. Some hate self tapes
Yeah,
and they would
yeah,
rather walk in there and do it in person. There are
sure.
those that love self tapes because like, hey, I can take 10 takes and delete all the ones that I think suck and then
Yeah,
send what I think works. And
yeah.
then it was so funny because the other day on Instagram, I followed actor Xander Berkeley, which he's known for being on The Walking Dead and starred in others. He's a very seasoned actor. And he made
Yeah,
a post and he said, look, for all of you, I don't know if he used the term youngsters or young people,
yeah.
for those casting, he said, look, don't be asking me to do a self tape. I have enough body of work that you can
Mm,
go look at and watch and figure out if I'm perfect for your film or the part.
yeah,
And I thought, yeah, I agree with that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, at his point, I mean, he does great stuff. So I mean, you could just scroll through his videos or his past works, like you said, and you can pick out, yeah, this would work. Why not?
Yes.
He's done this part before, and we can use him for this.
Yeah. It's
So
not like you're
I
gonna.
agree.
Yeah. It's not like asking Al Pacino to do a self tape.
Yeah, that's nuts. That would just be funny. That'd be more funny to do, I think. And I think he'd do it because he'd be like, "All right, this is fun. Let's just try to have
You
fun
know
with
that
this." Yeah.
that's an idea for a short film. Is to get
Mm,
people like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and others and
yeah.
to do self tapes when they've already
Yeah.
made it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's try out for this role. Let's see if this fits. You know, that'd be great. I'd actually watch that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would and have them all compete for the same part.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the audience can be the judge of who gets the part or not. That'd be perfect.
I
There's
think
like a
you and I
voting.
just created a new TV series.
Oh, geez, yeah, yeah. We should get like network on the phone.
I think so. I think so. Well, I've got to ask you. The first time I've ever learned about you was in a
Hmm.
current film, Peter 5'8", and I've had the pleasure to talk to actress Jet Jandro as well as the director Michael Hall. And this film has been called Kevin Spacey's comeback film. For you, what was it like working with such a stellar cast?
Oh man. Well, what's crazy about that is my friend John Lurchin was one of the producers, and I did a film with him a few years back called The Lurker. And from that, he emailed me, and he was like, "Listen, I got this part in this movie. I can't talk about it. I can't say who's in it, but if you want to do this tape, the self tape, send it to me in the next day or two." And it was like 8 pages. The one scene, and you'll remember the scene was from the very beginning. My introduction with Jet, our character, that was the whole scene, and I hopped on it right away. I did it, and I sent it in to John, who then passed it on to Michael Hall, the director, and I was asking information about the project. I was like, "So who's attached?" And he couldn't say anything. So then once I got the role, I had to sign an NDA, and then he told me who the lead was, and I was floored because I'm such a huge fan of Kevin's and Rebecca's. They're just unbelievable artists and people. So being a part of that project was just, it was like bliss. I mean, 3 weeks in Northern California in the mountains in the summer. That's my area environment. I love it to death. Jet has to be the funniest actress I think I've worked with in a long time. I had the pleasure of seeing the film in Philly, at the premiere a month or two ago, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It was such a film noir throwback. Yeah, it was a wonderful film, and everybody was so great in it, and uh, it was a pleasant surprise because it was a bit different than the script. I read the script and I was like, oh, this is like a gritty kind of, you know, drama. But then I see it and I'm like laughing and it's like mesmerizing. And Jet and Kevin did such an amazing job leading the picture and telling the story together. They quarterbacked the whole thing, and Michael was incredible with his vision. Rebecca is such an amazing person to play off of and watch. I learned a lot from Kevin. I mean,
I was
his
going to ask you that
yeah.
because being on set with Kevin Spacey, because he is so extremely talented.
Mhm.
What did you pick up from Kevin?
It's funny. I watched him rehearse, and he's such an incredible theater actor. So he brought that to his film and TV career, and I watched. He It's funny. I like the little intangible things. So he prints out his sides for that day on a yellow piece of paper because I asked him, and I was like, why the yellow? And he goes, it's easier on my eyes. And he's right, because if you're reading outside, the white reflects off and you have to squint and it's hard to read after a while. So he reads off yellow. And that's something I picked up. And just the hard work he puts into every day he's there was incredible. He's big on rehearsal, which I'm not surprised because of his work and how natural grounded he is. And just how he treated everybody. He was just an amazing person to work with. Him and I had some time to spend together, um, and was such a treat to work with him and learn from him and play off him and just be on set with him. It was great.
Yeah, I heard from Michael that Kevin comes on and he's like, I'm a team player. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not here to be above
Hmm.
everybody else, regardless of name or star power. And I thought that was a pretty cool deal with Kevin's attitude. Uh, Having that attitude on a film set, even with other actors that may or may not have the experience that he has.
Yeah, it was funny. You're right, and Michael's 1,000% right. He'd be there so early in the morning before set, and we'd just be huddled in a circle, drinking coffee, and just talking like normal people. He was just so down to earth, and it was great to see because someone at his level and done what he's done and all the accolades, that didn't really matter. He was just there to do a job, do it the best he can, and respectfully. So
Yeah, he played that part perfectly because when you follow, the older films from the 40s and 50s that are classified as film noir, Kevin played the lead perfectly. Jet plays the female lead. And I told her, I said, I love the fact that your acting was over the top. And that's exactly what film noir is in certain instances where the female seems to be over the top in the way that they
hmm
present their
yeah.
character and their persona. And she did that. And what is so funny, that it's the first modern film I've seen based on film noir.
hmm
Um, then there was The Private Eye that came out, I think, about a month ago. And now the
Right.
new series streaming with Colin Farrell, Sugar. They're all following that film noir style, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, but what's great about what Jet was doing is when I was in scenes with her, she was so grounded, and it didn't feel like that when she was working. She was working with me, very engaged, and it just made everything so easy. And Michael's amazing because we only did one or two takes for every scene. I mean, he didn't beat it into the ground where we're doing like seven, eight, nine takes. We did it one, two, move on, one, two, move on. Maybe a third here and there, but yeah, everything was done proficiently and really clean.
What was so funny is when I was interviewing Jet and Michael,
Hmm.
I didn't realize that towards the end of the movie, I think it's like the last scene in which you come in. I didn't realize that was you because that's where you've become clean shaven. There's this transition in the movie, and I'm like, that's Travis.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I still have the hat and the mullet. Hold on, I gotta show you.
Oh yeah, I want to see that.
So hair and makeup, I begged to keep it, so I still have it.
Oh my
So
gosh, that is awesome.
yeah, I'm always gonna keep this. This is like my treasure from the film, and yeah, it smells really bad because it was hot and sweaty out there, but it's all good. It's mine. So
Yeah, I thought your transformation in that film, I mean, it's like day and night.
mm.
And which really played well. But yeah, the film is very, very good. But I want to ask you, and I'm not sure if this series has debuted yet, but there's a new upcoming series called On 10 starring a
Yes,
Chadwick Farley. Can you
yeah,
tell us about that?
yeah. It's coming out the first quarter of this year. We shot the whole thing in Atlanta. I'm in five of the six episodes. And Chad's incredible. Chad quarterbacked this whole series, and he plays. I can't give too much away, but he's just amazing in it. Vivica A. Fox is in it. Erica Peoples, who's wonderful, she's in it. Clifton Powell, legend, he's in the project, and a whole bunch of other great characters are in there. Man Robinson, who I really really like a lot. He's a wonderful guy. He also did Sebastian, which I did, and he cast me from there into On 10, and he wrote, directed it, produced it, all in Atlanta. So yeah, I'm excited for that to come out. Yeah.
Wow. Now, let me ask you this because I noticed that you have a ton of films in pre production, as well as
hmm
many that are already in post production. How are you as an actor able to navigate your career through the pandemic?
Well, when the pandemic happened, everything kind of just shut down, obviously, for a long time, for the whole year, year and a half, whatnot. And during that time, I was still speaking with other filmmakers, my team, casting, other producers who were trying to get work going. Once the pandemic finished, things just snapped into like production. So I was working immediately once the pandemic, the tail end of it. I mean, I was on set with the mask and ready to go. And I think it's funny. Man Robinson's film Sebastian was the first film I did post pandemic. But all the testing was done through the SAG rules. Every morning and every night, every when you wrap, we get tested. Masks had to be on, so everything was done appropriately. But yeah, during the pandemic, it was just business deals and seeing what we can do. And once it ended, it was just straight into work.
Oh, so were you all right? So during the pandemic, were you able to do self tapes and then get attached to a project and then just really just kind of wait until everyone was allowed to start filming? And so I guess your schedule must have been back to back to back.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first beginning half of the pandemic was quiet, and then towards the end of it, that's when things started to come in through my team and everything like that. So I was reading, yeah, I was doing self tapes, and towards the end of the pandemic, and then once pandemic concluded, you know, things were hopping like really really hot.
Yeah, I was noticing last year through the series of films that we were covering in 2023, many of the films were actually filmed in 2021.
Yeah.
And even this year for 2024, some of the films that are coming out were still filmed in 2021 or 2022 that are coming
Right.
out. And I guess it's because of the pandemic, but
hmm
then here's everything getting ramped up and then the actor strike happens.
Yeah, yeah. That was even harder actually than the pandemic because nothing was happening. I mean, it was just 8 months of quiet. Nobody was talking because they couldn't. I unfortunately I had to miss some film festival premieres that I had. I couldn't go. which hurt a lot because especially Birder, I couldn't go because of restrictions with SAG and everything like that, unfortunately. And those people are my family, so it was hard not to go and support the project. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
You know,
That was
I I didn't understand them. I didn't understand SAG holding back actors
mm,
from press junkets,
yeah,
film festivals, because I'm like, wait a minute, you already did the work.
yeah,
They should be allowed to promote it because here's the thing: as an actor, your promotion is extremely important to the film. It's important to, and if it's a studio film, it's important to the studio. And
hmm
to me, it was, I thought that the whole thought process was backwards on that because for us, we weren't allowed to interview actors. I mean, we had actor interviews done right before the strike happened. We didn't even release them until probably a week before their films were debuting at the theaters because but then we had to label them as pre-strike so that they wouldn't get in trouble. So no one would think, "Oh, you did an interview about your film uh, in the middle of the strike." So we had to label them as pre-strike just so we don't get
gee,
anybody in trouble.
yeah. It was a slippery slope. It was hard. It was just confusing for the most part because things weren't really clear. But I just stayed out of it and didn't go anything. And I was just like, I'm not going to mess up. It's hard work to get to this point. I'm just going to let things ride. And at the end of the day, things will be settled. And they were, good or bad, they were settled. So we're back now. And that's the most important thing. People are back working and able to do what they love to do.
Yeah, it was so, I was amazed that even after the strike, how well this year's Oscars turned out because there
Hmm
were a ton of films, and I know everybody had to navigate that that crazy time, and hopefully it's not going to happen again. I know that the contracts are only 3 years long, but and I know that's going to even be a bigger fight because they're still griping about AI. And I
Yeah.
mean, what is your thought on the whole AI thing?
Um,
Is it something to
I don't. I think
really worry about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes away a lot of us, the actor, the performers. It takes a lot of our work away, which is unfortunate. It's being used now. I see it all the time now in ads, and TV shows, and movies too. So it's creeping its way in. I just hope that we can just fight it off, but I don't know how long we can fight it off for, because what we do is precious, and AI takes away a lot from the performer. So I hope that really sinks into a lot of studios, which I don't know it will, but I just pray that it does because it's kind of
Yeah,
scary.
yeah. Nobody griped about CGI,
Hmm
um, and and a lot of people don't understand that there's also a system called video projection, and which looks extremely real, but you're not stealing somebody's job away when they
Right,
do it.
right.
And so, but with AI, with you saying that it's creeping in, sounds like to me between the studios and SAG, that situation has not technically been taken care of.
I don't feel like it has, but I'm a pretty positive person, so I hope that it does, just for the actor's sake, the artist's sake. But that's why we have a union. They know what we want, and let's just hope that I have faith in SAG, so hopefully they can come through.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, tell me about this film, Birder. What is it about?
Oh wow, it was probably my one of the best experiences I've had, telling a story. Nate Dushku directed it. Ami Laurie wrote it. They're two of the best artists I've ever worked with, and it's actually funny. You talked about how did I find certain projects? Well, I found this one on my own, and I called my team about it because it was so scary and it was such a challenging role, and it scared me, which I love. I love being terrified. If I'm not scared, it does, I'm not motivated. So I saw this part, and I called my manager at the time, and I was like, "You got to submit me for this. I know what to do with this part. It's terrifying, but I want to do it." And they were like, "Okay." Well, so they sent my stuff to Nate, the director, and Ami, the writer, and I got a self tape. And it's funny because Nate was like, "All right, just put 2 or 3 scenes on tape." He sent like, the whole script. So what I did was I went on tape and I read like 7 scenes because I was having so much fun, and I was in it, and I just spent the whole night. I mean, it was a 20-minute audition tape. I don't know if they saw the whole thing, but it was basically like a short film I did, and sent it in. And then I went for the callback in person. We read some scenes together, but we just talked for like an hour after about family, about life, and we were just connecting on. All three of us were just connecting on all different levels of humility and passion of film and art, and what this film meant to both men and all that stuff. And I told them my thoughts on the character. And then I left, and I was praying I would get the part. And then a week later, they called, and they're like, all right, this is yours. Are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, let's go. So yeah, I got 7 weeks in the pre-production process, for the physical transformation, for the prep work and everything. I'm a big prep person. So yeah, we shot for, oh God, 15 days, 16 days, 17 days up in New Hampshire. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. Shot all my scenes except like maybe two were outdoor. We got great weather, and the story's amazing. And yeah, I'd run through a wall for those guys, those two. And yeah, they're just it's a really special film, and it's going to be streaming in mid to late June. So I'm excited for it to come out, and it's a risque film. I can't really say too much about it, but it's definitely a beautiful film, and the story, the writing's incredible, and Nate's vision was pristine.
I like the fact that you challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have you ever had a role for you? How would you define a role that would you define certain roles as difficult or challenging or both?
That's such a good question.
To stretch your craft.
Yeah, I would say both. For this one, it was both. It was difficult with the circumstances I had to go under, and challenging that the whole film's on your shoulders, but you have to go through all these obstacles and be convincing. And I had to trick people, manipulate people. I had to open up to people. The physical part was tough too. I dropped like 15 pounds, because the guy had to look like he was a woodsman, like he would run, swim, um, climb mountains, and it was a mountain in itself. Um, so I would say it was both, but this role taught me so much of how to push myself as an actor and as a person, and that hard work and dedication and commitment trumps everything. I mean, it trumps everything. You put the time and work in, and you get the results. And it was just proof. It was just proof with this film. And I'm excited for people to see it, but I want people to see it for Nate and Ami because they put so much work into it, and their love radiated off of them and came to the whole cast. And it was just one of the best sets I've been on, film and TV wise.
Now, is this a thriller?
Yeah, it's a psychological thriller. Yeah,
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 you got to tell him to send me the screener.
yeah. No, I will for sure, for sure. I'll hook you guys up.
Yeah, yeah. That way, I'll interview him about this film because
Yeah.
it sounds intriguing, and I probably when I do a lot of research when it comes to either film or actors or directors,
Mhm.
I feel like half my time is spent on IMDb because
Yeah.
you're connecting the dots. And for you, and I've noticed this with other actors, especially if you scan all the way down in the very beginning of their career, and being in television, you were on Monk, Shameless, The Equalizer, Station 19. Uh, when you get roles, on ABC or CBS or NBC, and it's for like one episode, uh, and then the next one episode, isn't that basically you building your career, building the resume? Because really, I guess for those who do a lot of television, the goal is to get cast for a reoccurring role.
Yeah. 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 You're building the resume, and at the end of the day, it's all about credits. It's all about what you've done, what shows you've been on, what films have you worked on. That's what it's about at the end of the day. I mean, and I take pride on what I've done, and I take pride on the work I've put in to get the resume that I have so far. And I want to keep building on it, and I want to keep working on different projects and telling stories that actually mean something to me, and not just something that's just you show up for the day, you leave, you get a check. I mean, that's not really why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because I love it, and I'm doing it because I want to help people tell stories, their stories, through my eyes, with a collaboration involved.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch how actors' careers grow. For you, you have so many credits, and I classify you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, as a full-time actor. How long into your career were you getting the parts, then maybe going back to a part-time job to the point to where it was just one part after another to where you were able to just focus on that?
No, yeah, like I would say the last 3 years have been popping like incredibly. So the last 3 to 4 years. Before that, I was personal training people. During the pandemic, I was personal training just to catch up on things like that. But yeah, I used to run my own personal training company in LA. I had that for a while when I lived there, and then when I came back to Jersey, I was still training people, doing in-home training from home to home. And then yeah, acting picked up, and I just been full steam ahead.
Well, okay, so you were in LA, and I know, and I've talked
Yeah,
to a lot of people who have moved out of LA because now they say you don't have to live there to be an actor. Is that
yeah.
more because of auditions or self tapes, or it's just because a lot of filming is not based in LA anymore?
I would say both. I would say both. A lot of this stuff is migrated toward the South, the East Coast here. Um, I know Florida's picking up a bit, even up north too. There's a lot of stuff going on. Of course, New Orleans is always good. The Carolinas, Atlanta's hotbed, Hotlanta.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went there in 2012, and I was there for about 8 or 9 years. Did really well, but yeah, just felt my time was to leave and come back to the East Coast and continue the career. And I haven't slowed at all. So, but yeah, self tapes is great because I can, like Station 19, for example, that's an LA based show. So I self taped at my place here in Jersey and sent the tape to my agent in LA, and that's how that transpired. So yeah, it doesn't really matter where you live. You can live in Vermont and still be booking all over the country.
Well, we know that some of the biggest film areas is Toronto as well as Montreal. Have you had the opportunity to film there?
No, not yet. Vancouver, I would love to go and
Ah,
work. Yeah,
Vancouver, that's right.
there's some spots that I definitely want to check out in Canada for sure. Yeah, that would be amazing. Because Vancouver, I mean, I was there when I was a kid. I mean, you could dub that for Chicago, New York, LA, and they have a beautiful country too. You can dub that for the South, So yeah, it's really pretty.
Well, out of all the roles that you've had, and not including Birder, What is your most difficult acting role?
Not including Birder.
Yeah, not so. So now you're telling me I'm thinking that Birder was probably the most difficult.
It was, yeah. So the second most. That's a really good question. Can it be TV?
Sure.
Yeah, I think The Equalizer was tough. That was a tough one. Yeah, because it was like you said, it was a one episode swing, and I was the bad guy, and those shows are tough because it's like a moving train, and it's such a popular show. I think it's the most popular show on CBS, most watched, and everybody, all the regulars are incredible, and they know what they're doing. It's like a they know the directors, they know the producers, they know the writers. It's like a bub, 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 bub. So you have to go in there and you have to step on what they're stepping on. And you got to go in there hard, and you got to be there. But yeah, those are. I don't know if that was the hardest role, but just those one offs are tough because you got to go and it's someone else's house. Shameless is like that too. It's like everybody is a family on that show, and David Nutter, who directed that episode, was so incredible. He did Game of Thrones. He was their Game of Thrones director. And it's funny. I mean, during the audition process for that show, John Levy cast it. John's amazing, and we do the scene once is written, and then he's like, all right, put your sides down and let's do an improv, which I love. So I was doing this improv, and everyone but him was laughing. He just stared at me with this cold, blank stare, and David Nutter did, and I was like, I didn't get it. I left. But then I got a call that night saying he loved it. So yeah, it's just TV's tough. You just never know if it's going to go your way or not, and those guest roles, you just got to go in being prepared and being open for everything and anything.
Well, it's funny. I've talked to film directors who have directed television, and
Yeah,
they said when because a lot of the viewership, the audience does not know that in a television series you could have 3 4 different directors during a season. So the directors are actually the invited guest on that show because
yeah,
it's not their house. The film, if they're shooting a film, that's their house, and the
yeah,
actors are
yeah.
the hired ones. But with television, for you, have you ever been on an extended series where you had to deal with different directors?
Yeah, Sneaky Pete.
Real?
I did.
Are you kidding me? I actually love that series, ladies and gentlemen. If you've
Yeah,
never seen Sneaky Pete, once you get through the first couple of episodes, you're gonna go like you're not gonna be able to. You're gonna start binge watching it.
yeah, yeah. Giovanni Ribisi is like Kevin. They're incredible preppers. Um, they prepare incredibly and couldn't have been nicer. He could have been nicer too. But I had three different directors. There's three different episodes. Um, Again, self tape in LA. I mean, self tape in New York. Sent it over to LA. And yeah, I had three different people come in direct, and it was great. And they were all super nice, wonderful. They let you play improv. Um, they let you go off script. It felt like handheld. A lot of handheld filming was done, so they would follow you around. I mean, you could. It was really really great. And I played one of the bad guys on the show, and it was a wonderful experience. Yeah, yeah. It was that was a lot of fun too.
That's funny because you're the first one that's ever told me that. Because with a streaming series, I would have thought that it's going to be the same director for every episode. I know
Mhm.
that in television, the directors are usually different, not
Yeah,
episode after episode, but if you have, let's say, if you're able to pull out a 13 episode season, then there could be 4 different directors during that
Mhm.
season,
Yeah,
and the audience doesn't know that, and which I still to this day find it odd. But since the director's not the one in charge, the writers are.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're next to the director. They're listening. They have the headphones on. They can hear what what's being said. Some are stingy. Some want every word verbatim, and some just don't care, which is great. I mean, some want an outline of what they wrote, but they're okay with a little improv here and there, which is nice. But some are like to the T. You have to say and what they wrote, which I respect because it's their writing. But you have to know that going in, So yeah, but
Well,
no, it's
well,
great. Mhm.
well, it keeps you on your toes, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it just keeps you prepared. That's all. I mean, you have to be prepared anyway. But even if they give you notes of maybe say a line differently or at different inflections or tones here and there, you have to be ready to do it.
Yeah, that is. I find the whole thing absolutely fascinating, and and for you, I mean, because I've had them tell me, "Oh no, 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 you have to do this word for word as the script is written." But to be able to do a little bit of improv, go outside the lines, I think that probably gives a little bit more peace and freedom to the
Yeah,
actor.
yeah. Soap operas are very much you have to say what's written, and they'll stop the scene, and then the writers are up in the booth, and they're watching everything, and they can hear everything, and they're like they make you do it again. But respect to them. I mean, they're the ones writing, and that's their job, and my job is to say what they wrote, truthfully. So you just do it again. You do it again. You do it till they're happy. You know.
Wow. Now, tell me this, Michael. Besides Kevin Spacey, which actors gave you some of the best advice?
William Sadler. William Sadler. Yeah, yeah. I was so scared to meet him because I was such a fan, and I mean, he was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and growing up, and and I was just when I heard he was cast, I was in awe of his work when he was younger and everything. And him and I sat down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and he asked me to run lines with him, and I was so scared. I was like, oh God, I gotta do a good job. So we were running lines together, and I'm just like, I wish my mom was here to see this, like because she was a fan of his too, and he has a daughter, and I think she was getting married at that time in Vermont. Um, this is back in 2015, I think. But she was just getting married, and he was telling me about his kids and the wedding and how beautiful it was going to be, and he was just so excited about his family, and it really moved me in a way where like I was just like, this is a real person that has an incredible family, and he's a family man, and here we are running lines under the sun, and what can be better than this? So that was a really great treat to meet him and work with him.
Well, have you ever been starstruck on set?
I mean, I saw. I mean, seeing Kevin was amazing, and Rebecca that was surreal. But then you're grounded immediately when they start talking to you because they're just me and you talking. It's just people. So that it goes away pretty fast. It dissipates pretty quickly once you start running lines or rehearsing the scene. It's like, oh, we're working now. We're on the same level, and testament to them because they don't carry themselves up here. They're here with you. They're at ground floor, which is important. So, but yeah, I would say Peter 5'8" really opened my eyes to like that, which is wonderful.
Wow. I mean, are there any actors or actresses that you would love to work with?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Mickey Rourke. I'm, you know, huge fan of his since Rumblefish, 1983. I mean,
Yeah,
um,
Diner is probably one of the best film classics ever. And people who have
yeah,
never seen the movie Diner
yeah.
better watch Diner.
I mean, he did things that no one else was doing, like performance wise, like how he would talk, and he's the most natural actor I've ever seen. I mean, there's no acting at all. Rumblefish is my favorite because it's a black and white classic by Francis Ford Coppola, and there was no script. There was no script. I mean, there was like outlines of each scene, but his character Motorcycle Boy was so cool, and I wanted to be like him. And I saw that when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So that would, that's one of the guys I would love to work with. Of course, DiCaprio. He's the reason why I got into acting. Watching Basketball Diaries, of course. I'm a huge independent film guy, so watching him and young Mark Wahlberg in there, and that was such an incredible story.
Well, you know
Um,
what? With when Leonardo did Gilbert Grape,
mm,
and then
yeah,
you did Randy's Canvas.
right.
Um, how difficult is it to pull off a part like that?
Oh, it's unbelievably hard because um, there's just so much going on, and memorizing your lines, being present, and then also having that persona too. That's tough, and a testament to Adam Carbone, who played Randy. I played the older brother Henry. I'm like his caretaker, older brother, mother, father slash guardian. Adam, that was Adam's first film, and he just completely destroyed that part. He was phenomenal, and uh, I was like, dude, this is your first movie. Like, do you realize that? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, this is amazing what you're doing, and this is halfway through filming. We shot in Rhode Island, and yeah, to this day, it's probably my favorite movie to watch, like with my family, because of my other stuff you can't really watch with my family. But like this such a wholesome film, and I'm just really proud of everybody in that picture.
Well, it's like watching, and they just canceled it, but the Good Doctor, and
Yeah.
the lead actor. A lot of people don't realize that he is not autistic. He's a
Hmm.
British actor,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Incredible.
absolutely incredible. And what amazed me, because you're in Hollywood, you see and hear how people react, and the people online trying to start trouble of, well, if this guy's acting autistic, why didn't you just hire an autistic actor and crap like that? I'm like, you need to go back and focus on the word actor and acting, and then you'll
Right.
understand why. When Leonardo did and Gilbert Grape, or even Sean Penn in
Hmm.
Sam. And to
Yeah.
do those types of roles, like you said, it's not just learning your lines; you're learning the mannerisms. And of course, like the Good Doctor, it's a lot of it is focused on the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's those small little things that play a big role. You know.
Well, in an acting class, do they ever? Are there exercises as to say, um, portray a person that has a disability? And I don't mean a limp.
Right. No, of course. Yeah. I mean, the big thing is just being grounded and truthful in what you're doing. I mean, I know Sean Penn did a lot of research for I Am Sam, and he went to different facilities and learned from people that were there that were mentally disabled, and I think he spent months doing that, like 6, 7, 8 months, just for the prep process of going there, like every day. And he said they were filming, and he'd be in a scene working with them with his peers with the people there, and they wouldn't even bat an eye. They would just treat him like he was their own, and that's such a beautiful thing, is because he was showing them the respect while learning from them, and then they were giving the respect back to him. So I feel like research is big with that. The more you research with the part and studying mannerisms for the characters, then that's a big deal.
And that really falls into the category of method acting.
Yeah, sometimes you have to pull that out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes you have to, dig deep and find what works for you, what works for your art. Um, yeah, there's certain roles where you have to kind of really research and get in that headspace, or else it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you have, besides Birder and On 10, are there any upcoming projects coming up for 2024?
Yes, Birder is going to be at mid to late June. On 10 is his first quarter, of course, and then we have what else do we got? We have I just finished a project in Ithaca, New York called Her Lover, written and directed by Elizabeth Stilke. Heidi Eklund, who I love, she was the casting director on that one. That's going to happen probably the fall or winter of this year. That'll be out in like lots of festivals, and it's such a beautiful, dramatic, romantic piece. And yeah, I have some other stuff coming up that I'm working on this year too. That's going to be really special, and yeah, so I'm excited. It's gonna be a full year. I'm excited for it.
Well, I think that when Birder finally comes out, you and the director need to come back on together.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. Yeah, Nate's the best. I'd love to bring him and Ami on for sure. Like it could be like a triangle thing, and yeah, they'll talk your ear off about the whole story, how it originated, why they even thought about casting me, so all that good stuff. Yeah.
Well, that'll work. We'll tell him to send me the screener.
Yeah, yeah, I'll do both. Perfect.
Yeah, that way I
Yeah, I
can
definitely
watch
want you
it.
to see it. I would love
Yeah,
for your
yeah, because
feedback.
I want to see it. I want to break it down and make notes and see what we can come up with for an upcoming interview about that. But Michael, man, I've had a great time with you today. I hope you had fun too.
Oh, I had a blast, Ward. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you bringing me on, and I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you. You do great work, and people really need to be aware of you and all the great you're doing. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, Michael. And ladies and gentlemen, hey, you can catch all of the replays of our interviews with the top film directors and producers, screenwriters, and even actors like Michael Emery and more on Bond on Cinema. We're also available on YouTube as well as a dozen audio platforms as well. And, well, I want to thank you for watching and listening. And as for me, I'll either see you at the movies or from the red carpet.